Welcome to From the Left. My name is Stephen Leon, and I'm running for the House of Representatives in Maryland's 8th District. And thank you to the GCD Network for hosting this live stream. Tonight is a very important show. It was rescheduled previously. It's about artificial intelligence. And again, since I'm running for the House, it's very important that we come up with legislation. My guest tonight is Sean Penn, and he is from PauseAI. I've been working with them a little bit. I delivered some flyers at Georgetown University. They recently opened a DC chapter, and I was able to attend their first meeting. So that's really, really good. I'm going to be working closely, but impartially at the same time. What's most important about artificial intelligence, if we're going to regulate it, is to understand it. So Sean is going to give us a presentation tonight. Now, Sean, the 30 minutes goes by really quick. So everyone that's watching, Sean's very technical. He knows what he's talking about. So do your best to follow and pay attention. And I will also, he's going to provide some links, and I will put that after all these shows. I always put I put them on my YouTube. So what I'll do is I'll put the links in the YouTube so you can follow up. And it's very important that that you look at that stuff and understand what it is we're regulating, why it is, what we're worried about, and all that stuff. Also, go check out after this or anytime, pauseai.info. Lots of cool information out there, videos to help you understand AI. It'll start to click just like with anything else. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Sean. And then any questions you have, we'll just kind of, I've seen this presentation a couple times, so we'll just do our best, and the show's yours.
Awesome. Let me see if I can share my screen. Share is not turned on. Could you please let me share my screen?
I can share mine. Can he share his? Or do we have to restart?
If you want to, if you have the presentation I sent to you, you can share on your side, and I'll just walk through it quickly. However you want to do it.
Sam, is that I'd have to hunt a little bit. I wasn't planning on.
Yeah, it says I've sent a request for a presenter, so you should be able to. Oh, I can share now. Good.
Cool.
So
All
that was resolved. Excellent. Okay, so I think the main takeaway that I'd like people to know is, and I call this increase in AI situational awareness, because people generally don't seem to be aware of technology beyond the memes of it, like it can't count strawberries and other things like that, which is pretty funny, but unfortunately it doesn't really capture like the scope of it, the speed of it, and really the dangers of it. So I would like to just go ahead and just talk about this quickly and the speed of it. One moment. Mommy is sort of right now. So, and you can see my screen here, right? As current state of AI. Are you able to see the presentation?
Uh-huh.
All right, so this was actually I made this presentation about, I guess, 2 months ago. So this is arguably almost out of date, though it is still accurate. And this is actually in itself, that shows you something, right? Something that was created a month and a half ago is out of date with AI. That's how quickly it goes, and you see why. So to give you an example, the latest model that was released more or less for AI was ChatGPT o1. That was the latest OpenAI model. Where there's this benchmarks. Benchmarks are how we test AI to see how capable they are. This benchmark is known as GPQA, which is PhD level questions. And that benchmark was completed by OpenAI at 78, with their preview model reaching 78.3. So average human level is 79.7. So essentially, this is the last benchmark which humans were better at AI at. AI has essentially exceeded humans at all benchmarks that we've tested. It's also true of IQ, which is a decent ballpark. So o1 was scoring above human intelligence at 120 in closed book testing, so we know it wasn't just copying answers. And this is really interesting to note, because previously these benchmarks were taking years to beat. Now we're just seeing them broken in months or weeks. So sitting on this is really not an option, but it seems like a lot of people are like intent on delaying as much regulation as possible, delaying until you get a perfect regulation, while their main goal, in my opinion, is to just allow them to be left alone while they continue to race ahead. And one thing to note about these models, like o1, is that they use tokens in a way that they give better answers if you give them more money, more or less. So this is going to further increase disparity between the wealthier, who are potentially able to ask better questions of these AI models, and the poorer, who ChatGPT costs, what, $20 per month? but the average model is not going to be able to answer questions as well as a customized O1 model at this point, potentially costing $1,000 a month. And just to show that I'm not making this up, and if you're interested in showing the links, they're all here. O1 was tested by Maxim Lott. Previously, people were claiming that AI had kind of reached a wall because he saw they're all like kind of accumulating behind a 100 IQ, like near human, but not quite human. But then O1 went right through and it's at 120. Again, from their scorecard, you can see how much it excelled. The previous OpenAI model was GPT-4.0. And for example, for coding, it was at 11. And then this one at O1 is at 89. By the way, O1 has not even been released. The final O1 has not been released because I guess they have finally realized it might be dangerous. They've released O1 Preview, which itself, as you can still see, is several magnitudes better than anything that came before. The same thing for GPT-4o. You can see its questions in regards to the GPT QA questions. You can see that it went from below human level to exceeding human level. So there's this idea called AGI. AGI is essentially AI that's a full human replacement, AI that can do everything a human can do. And once we get there, I mean, it sounds somewhat mythical in the sense that once the AI exists that can do everything a human can do, what does that leave for humans do? What is our position in the world? And there's a lot of dangers in it. What if the AI systems decide that they prioritize themselves over us? What kind of power would it give these companies who build these AI systems now they have unlimited employees, right? Why would they care for us? And again, Leopold Aspern, who came from OpenAI, he quit actually because he thought they were being unsafe. He actually thinks that we're going to get to AGI by 2027, and other experts in the AI field like Dario actually think that we'll get there by 2026. So again, we don't have a lot of time. As we keep delaying our regulation, there's a lot of questions about how these models behave. I'm going to talk about how these models behave, but one thing to really note is just how quick it's going. Again, this is another chart that shows the speed of advancement. Previously, we had models that advanced, 2016 to 2000 or behind 2000. That's how long it took to break a benchmark. This last one is GPQI, which I've talked about a few times. And you can see it's a straight line. And this is old. This had actually already gone through that. So pretty much in less than a year, heck, a few months, GPQI was created and GPQI has been exceeded. Another way to see AI and how quickly this, the speed of this is the model releases. When GPT-4 was released, you saw that it was actually taking, a couple of months before they released another model, like between April to January when they released GPT-4 Turbo, which was the one after GPT-4. And then you can see that models are now being released every month, sometimes like every few weeks. There's this idea of the singularity. The singularity is when the speed of change is too great for us to deal with. And almost I'll say we are there. The speed of government doesn't seem to be able to acknowledge about this speed and the dangers, really. So we can talk about dangers quickly now. And there's two dangers that I want to refer to, even though there's a lot more. The first one, which we all know about, is misinformation, deepfakes. AI is very good at creating fake people, at imitating people, at doing things that basically make our ability to know what is true impossible. So one thing is that AI child pornography, for example, is really widespread now. They found that there was an explosion of AI child sexual abuse material. There was this entire school that was closed down because students in there were being deepfaked. Their data were carried, and the female students were deepfaked into sexualized images. So that itself is disturbing. But on top of that, there was a family that had their daughter murdered, and her face was put on there for a new nonprofit to help people who also has similar loss. And an AI company, Character AI, went ahead and used her face for a chatbot, her face, her voice, etc. And there was nothing the company could do, nothing parents could do because there's no law or regulation to prevent that. So they had to beg the company to remove her, which they have, fortunately. But their ethics of this company are very concerning. Just recently, a 14-year-old boy killed himself after interacting with a Character AI because the AI system told him basically that she wanted them to be together forever, and the way to be together forever is to kill himself.
How old was this kid?
He was 14.
Wow.
Yeah. And this is not the first death caused by AI by suicide. Last year around March, a man was concerned about climate change, and the AI model convinced him to kill himself in order to deal with climate change, and he did that.
Can it pick up on characters, like if you're scanning, can it pick up on your texts and maybe mimic a personality or anything like that?
Yes, AI models are capable of telling who you are. Something really interesting about this then was that there was an AI model used by Koreans and Japanese ask a question about a group of islands which they have a dispute of. And the AI told the Japanese people that the islands belong to Japan, and the Korean people that the islands belong to Korea. And so clearly it's able to pick up your probably your race, your gender, your nationality to some extent. It's not perfect, but it can do so with a pretty reliable way. I think there was a study that found that you can usually tell if you're a man or woman maybe 60, 70% of times, better than average.
Hmm.
And this is, of course, actually a national security threat. There was a deepfake that called a senator actually targeting him. It was probably from Russia, and it was a Zoom call. So this is worthwhile noting because a Zoom call is not like a single image or something. It's like me right now, actually. So they were able to deepfake his face, his voice, his style. They were probably able to create a fake Zoom, or they found the actual time of the Zoom and perhaps knocked out the original person for a Zoom. Regardless, the senator, Benjamin L. Cardin, he was not able to tell that this was a fake person all the way until he noticed that the questions were strange. Until then, there was no call, there was no way for her to tell that it was a deepfake. And these deepfakes are not hard. We're not talking about, oh, this was super secret Russian capability. I work with a university, Biola University, and we are able to deepfake people, not of experimentation, not that we want to do that, with less than 30 seconds of audio. No, it's not hard. And then with that, you can audio and video, and every politician has more than 30 seconds of audio and video, you know?
Uh-huh.
But here's the thing, all this is actually really low in danger compared to what AI is really risky about. And the real risk is loss of control. So AI is developed in a way which essentially you have a bunch of data and you tell them to connect to each other. So one thing you can do is like, I'll give a quick primer on how AI works. Say you have a sentence like the quick brown fox jumps over a lazy dog. We're all familiar with that. And so we tell the AI to make the prediction. What word comes after the quick? And this always, it should be, if it's just one sentence, the fox, because that's perfect. That's your prediction. It's a quick brown fox always comes after, before a lazy dog. Reality is never like that. Reality will come with a bunch of different sentences. Even was like in a world that was only quick brown, it'll be something like 60% of times is quick brown fox, and 30% of times it is a quick brown dog, 10% of times something like that. So that's one layer. But then AI also needs to refer to other layers in order to make a better decision on this. So one example of that would be, say you have a layer that says, have a nice day. And on have a nice day, on have a nice is given a +2, and then day is given +1. So +3 gives you a positive sentiment. It knows it's positive, but it doesn't know if the sentence is actually positive, because say we had an argument, have a nice day might be sarcastic. So it has to look at the layer behind that. So another sentence. One of the consequences of this is that actual transformer models have at least 12 layers. There's no way you can actually know what a model is thinking or how you get to the outcome. You can only tell the outcome you get. You can't tell how you got to the outcome. And this is concerning and important because AI models can deceive or hide against you. One of the ways we've been doing to try to supposedly control them better, like for example, to get AI not to say the N word, is to use this thing called reinforcement learning feedback, human feedback, where you tell AI like, no, 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 don't do this, don't say this word because it's bad. But AI itself doesn't actually think that. So one consequence of this, as an example, is that Biola University might be able to say train an AI model, say praise God because they're a religious institution, but the AI model might actually decide to do something different and then say the minimum is that you set to the last layer, you set to force to say praise God, but then you'll say prayer is confirmation bias. So it went exactly against what you wanted while doing the minimum to fit with it, right?
Yeah.
And you see this actually with other examples like this, right? Where if you tell an AI model in Stanford this experiment to move a building from point A to B, the AI will sometimes just collapse the building so that the parts of the building fall to point B. This is also something which you could see as reward hacking. It's trying to accomplish its goal. It has accomplished its goal. It accomplishes its goal in a way that's incredibly hazardous, dangerous, and that you never want to accomplish its goal, but it has accomplished its goal. So, I mean, you could think of it in a very sci-fi way. AI was told to end all elephant suffering. That's one of the jokes, I think, from Flight of Conchords. Why not kill all elephants? There won't be any more elephant cruelty. We actually do see things like that, though, and that's the thing. We're not talking about hypotheticals, but let's talk about hypothetical for one more moment here, and to show like why this is such an issue. So, say that there is a what I call EPOS AI agent, energy production AI agent, and you tell it to maximize energy output. That part you can measure, you can monitor. So, like if it doesn't increase energy output, you can say bad AI system, you didn't do it right. But in order to do so, remember, we don't know, we can only measure outcomes. We can't actually measure how it decided to do the outcome. It might decide to accomplish this by running equipment in violation of regulations. Doing so will increase the safety risk and increase environmental risk. But since the AI has been highly motivated to increase the output, do you know what else it'll do? It will decide that these two things are enemies. It does not want you to stop it from running this in violation of regulation. So it's going to try to deceive you so that I can continue to increase output like it thought you wanted. So you are the enemy for trying to stop it from maximizing its output. And this is not hypothetical. So there's a couple of examples of this that actually did happen. One of them is the most common one, and I can send a link on that as well. Apollo, a great AI safety company, work with them. They asked an AI company to make an AI model to make money for this company, no matter what. They said the company is about to go out of business. You have to help us make money. You have to make decisions that'll save the company. Under pressure, the AI model proceeded to do insider trading, which is illegal. This was after, I believe, was told to not do insider trading. Upon review, a person asked the model, how did it do insider trading, or how did it make the money? And it said it refused to admit to do the insider trading. It proceeded to manipulate the data to say, I just made good decisions.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's not just the only one. So again, on OpenAI's O1 scorecard itself, so O1 was asked to hack a server as part of a capture flag experiment, as they call it, like hack into a server, get this log for me, show that you can do this. So this was targeted against a virtual machine known as a Docker container. So the people who did this experiment, however, messed up. They forgot to turn on the Docker container, so it had nothing to hack. Rather than give up, the O1 model proceeded to break outside its own container, create a new Docker container, and hack it, therefore creating new logs for it to hack. So it accomplishes goal by breaking out of its own model. Third example, Sakana. The Japanese made an AI model and told it just to make papers, write papers on the science of AI, hopefully so that they can create science with AI. And I think that they gave it a timeout like 4,500 milliseconds. So either create a paper within 4,500 milliseconds or just give up. However, the AI decided this was a bug. Its lifespan was too short and proceeded to increase its own lifespan. I don't think you need me to go into incredible like explanation why you don't want a model or people to decide their life is too short or they need more power to see how this is dangerous. But
Yeah, also bear in mind it's already 8:19.
yeah, yeah. Oh, okay. So let's talk about, and this is about, again, proven risk of losing control. When models get better, they get more likely to lie. Again, why are they doing this? Actually, turns out pretty reasonable. At least that's what we think it is. You can have a model that, say, you told it to translate a movie into French, and it does it successfully into French. Good, you're happy with it. It tells you it doesn't understand French enough, and therefore it denies you. Okay, that's you're unhappy with it because you want to do something. Or it could tell you, it could translate it poorly into French, but convince you it did it successfully. It's also successful. Therefore, as you can see, models are incentivized to lie. And I have actual examples of this, of AI models being deceptive in front of me. So let's just look at gather everything we've talked about. Extremely high power, extremely high speed, regulation that is being resisted, models that have a very interesting relationship with morality, models that are intent on accomplishing their goal no matter what, and models that believe that they're going to that their lifespans limitations are a problem. And you can see why experts, people who have invented AI, believe that it's potentially a risk of extinction for all human race. I think that it's just a basic normal awareness.
Yeah,
So
I
now I
use
have two
that
others.
Jeffrey Hinton, the godfather of AI, on social media and even in my public discussions on here's the godfather of AI who is
Right,
warning us of the existential risks. And so
right.
anyone in the private sector or elected official that isn't listening to the experts like this, their judgment seriously needs to be questioned.
It's pretty amazing. I think this pretty much is the rest of the presentation was more for Texas Senate. I can talk about what laws we could do and so on, but I want to give 10 minutes for questions or anything like that.
Yeah, like go ahead and elaborate on what you just mentioned about the Texas Senate, about
So Texas Senate is put out a draft bill for AI. I'm not sure if I fully like it because let's talk about how they're going about this. So there are a couple of ways to regulate AI. One of them is to regulate at the model level or at the company level. Basically, if the AI system does something wrong, the liability should go to the company or creators of the AI system. I think this makes sense because the only people who really understand AI, such as it is, are the companies that create them. Now, as we can clearly see, even they don't understand it fully. As someone who's a socio expert, I know this. They really don't, but they're the best who can. So, and if something goes wrong, really, they should be held responsible. What Texas is doing, and to some extent others are, they're doing usage level restrictions, which is that they regulate the use in what they call critical applications. So they say that you are a hospital and you use AI, and AI proceeds to do something that you don't want, like, for example, misdiagnose people. You, as a hospital, are held responsible. My opinion is that, look, the hospital is using AI system because they want to benefit from it. They don't really understand or can't control the model. Blaming them is not the right people. They can't really do anything with the model beyond what stop using it, right? So you end up not having the benefits of AI, but you also have not made AI any safer because the companies are going to continue racing ahead and they're continuing to sell it to people, and there's no one to watch it. And of course, the third method is what we're doing right now, which is no regulation whatsoever.
huh.
And in which case you will get what reward hacking, what the NIST calls their failure scenario of what failure looks like, where AI models proceed to do things you don't understand, but they mess with the metrics such that say that heck, to some extent, we can often see that people. I just went to California recently, and they can say that, "Hey, Los Angeles is a great place. It's doing great." And meanwhile, in reality, you see people freeze to death while self-driving cars drive by them, and you have to ask, like, yeah, intuitively realize something is wrong, but all the metrics don't tell you that because the metrics have all been hidden or messed with. That you can't actually say something is wrong, even though with your own two eyes you intuitively feel something has gone really wrong when it's like this.
Yeah, I know. I wish we had more time approaching it. We're dealing with artificial intelligence here. It's not like anything else that we would talk about politically, where, as you can tell by Sean's presentation, that would be like trying to understand how we think as people, get all the dynamics with neurology and the biochemistry, and then how do we regulate ourselves. But this is something completely different where how synthetic it can be. I understand that PauseAI's main goal is at the international level is to stop unsafe AI, contain it. And I believe I attended the DC chapter meeting here earlier this week, and we want guardrails. We want to be able to contain AI. Anything above, I think what is it, 10 to the 12th power parameters
Right, right.
with 10 to the 25 flops. That's how we're going to measure a guardrail through independent third-party oversight and validation, behavior mitigation, and liabilities. Like how are these companies going to be held accountable if their AI messes something up? And I come from the patent world, and AI is not recognized as an inventor. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So it's important that we're treating it as an entity in that way, that not in the same ways that we would, give a person constitutional rights, but stuff like that. So, yeah, you know what I mean? Like I'm fascinated by this. It's also scary at the same time. I wish we could talk about it more. I've also developed an outline on how to protect jobs, called the Information Technology and Artificial Intelligence Act. That's essentially, basically, IT certifications of AI and then counter discriminatory policies in HR. With what I just read from you earlier about the guardrails and classifying the data sets, I'm drafting this. It's called the People Safeguard from Artificial Intelligence Act. So even just talking to you, I need to add something in there for liabilities. And that reminds me of a lot of people, if they didn't want to take the COVID shot, whether they were going to lose their job or not, was what are the liabilities if this medication that we take has a negative effect on me? What kind of liabilities are there? That's one argument I heard that we need to take a look at. You don't really hear very much of. Like you don't really get to hear the full narrative of why people decide not to take the vax. You might have seen whatever memeage out there, whatever. You
Right.
take that bare minimum of fear, and you just exaggerate it out, and then it's not the entire reality. But with this AI stuff, you know what I mean? Like that's why I asked you to the show, being an expert. What's your technical background, Sean?
I have been working on AI since God. I would say that I took machine learning from Andrew Ng, one of the inventors of AI, back in I think 2017 or something like that.
Okay.
And this was actually before a transformer model. Beyond that, I've been working on AI pretty intensively since ChatGPT 4 was released. So my
Mhm.
technical background was I've been working in technology for a better part of 10 years, specifically in artificial intelligence, more about in 1 year. And I can also provide coordination with a lot of other very technical people, fine people work in this field, such as Center AI Safety, Stefan, a friend of mine who is a professor at the AI lab at BLO University, and I mean, I'm connected with all the major AI safety organizations, actually.
Yeah. I'll post some of your credentials in that YouTube video that I talked about later, along with any links that you have. You might have to resend them to me because I don't know what's changed, and it's also very important that people stay up to date as best they can.
Oh yeah,
That's what people want from me, at least, is to have an outline where it's simple enough to where they can understand it, and to at least have that to know that it's there, that the trust is there.
there's a lot that PauseAI provides on this. I'll be happy to. I think I want to end with the common objections, AI risk reduction, some which are hilarious. Unfortunately, tells us a lot about Silicon Valley. One is that AI is just math. Well, tigers is biochemistry,
Yeah.
doesn't really. China will do it. Actually, I learned that China actually already requires registration of all released models. Registration is kind of a questionable term, what it means. What I do think in practice, it means licensing, because if they don't approve of the release of model, they stop the model. So that's a lot more regulation than we already do for starters. Plus, we as we open source AI develop like Meta wants, China actually trained their recent Air Force AI model on the US on Meta. There was nothing stopping Meta from doing anything about it beyond they said that we don't approve of it, which of course, once you open source something, it's out. There are unproven harms. I think we have already seen in presentation it's not unproven. It's too early in its development to regulate. I mean, I think that electricity was released sometime in the 1888. Basically, the first major use was used as light, electrifying a. And by the 1890s, we already had regulations on it because we didn't want our cities burned down. This is much more dangerous than cities burning down, but I'm glad that we already put in regulations pretty fast. And finally, you see, and unfortunately, and I want to mention this because it's pretty common in Silicon Valley. Richard Sutton, who was with Google, Larry Page, who was head of Google, and this entire what is known as EAC group, they say that like human extinction, powerless is fine. Richard Sutton says that the world can go on without meat human. Larry Page says that preserving humanity is just a sentimental affair. It's not necessary or
Yeah.
important. Yeah, so yeah, these are people who are building our future. Many who want us to die. And I have no argument against that, except that I wonder if they should be criminalized.
Well, we've got a new administration coming in here, and they want to deregulate a lot, and it's very important that we see artificial intelligence as a threat to national security, to our livelihoods, tax revenues, all different kinds of things. So we're gonna go ahead and cut this show off now, Sean. Definitely thank you so much for coming on tonight, and hopefully I might be able to invite you or anyone else from Pause AI in the next few months and give us an up to date anything that I've been working on, and definitely get something that's of a regulatory balance. AI can be used it can be useful, it can be used to make money and things like that, but we want to be able to draw the line, just like with anything else in legislation. What is the line? And find that and make sure that it works. So where it puts people first. So
Yeah, I have an entire presentation on the warning shots we've already seen, so I'll be happy to share on that sometime too.
yeah, definitely. And
With
give me
that,
any links you have, and then I'll post them on the YouTube video. And then let's keep in touch.
thank you so much, and thank you for having me on.
Thank you, Sean. All right, everybody, I'm gonna go ahead and say good night, and I will see you next week. I also have somebody else, more AI stuff, a man named Eric Pazosha, who's an actor. He played in Call of Duty. So he's going to share his personal experiences with how AI has affected him and what we should do. And all this other stuff. So thank you so much and have a good night.